we shape that dialogue? How do we make sure that children are considered a priority? How do we partner with not only the media here locally, but across the state so that we can be involved in this, that we heighten the public awareness and also of the legislators?
Well, that's a tricky question for you all, because one thing I think is very effective are things like report cards on candidates, and a lot of the candidates will get bad grades, but you don't want to alienate them either, because they may in fact be governor. So I think one respect is to actually identify the candidates that you think you could work with and live with if they were in office, and try very hard to become unofficial policy advisors to them. I mean, I think we're going to have to accept the fact that they're going to be, it may be Governor Cagle, and it may be Lieutenant Governor Schaefer or Lieutenant Governor Johnson, and I think that we're going to need to figure out how to work with them. And so that's your challenge, not to attack them in such a way and exposing their flawed record as to have them get to office and say to their people, never let these advocates in here. I never want to see them. They didn't help me at all. They really tried to hurt my chances. So that's,
Among the voters we're trying to connect to, how many do you think are reading the AJC in your editorials, or how many of them are using other media outlets that we're not connecting to?
That's hard to say, because we have this online readership that, it's like, the numbers go from 1 million to 1 billion. So it's hard for me to know who's reading. Our circulation, the print circulation, not only is it going down because people are reading online, the paper is not going to circulate anymore. They've chosen not to go to the areas where it costs too much to deliver. I do want to tell you one thing about mainstream media, which I think people often forget. Our paper still has 340 newsroom employees. The biggest TV stations in town have 12. So the mainstream newspapers still set the agenda only because of their size. So friends of mine who are TV and radio producers and bloggers, no one's paying them to go sit at the Atlanta City Council for 8 hours the way the AJC is still paying people. So mainstream media does put the basic information out there, and then bloggers take it to heart and use it. There, unfortunately, are very few bloggers who are doing any first-hand reporting around the country yet. That may come, but I don't know when, because they're not being paid to do it. I certainly think that you should tap into all those networks, but I think to get your message out, your ground floor message, you're going to still need to go to mainstream media, because they are going to then affect. I mean, if you read Peach Pundit, which is a very well-read conservative blog, 90% of their items are off the AJC news stories, because that guy is a councilman in Macon. He doesn't have time to go out and do any first-hand reporting. So you have to keep in mind that I think that the CNNs of the world, the TV stations, all of that draw on these bigger news organizations to set their agenda, because it's a cheap, quick way to find out what's going on. So I would court the mainstream press, but then take a look at the bloggers who then step off from that and share your interest. The problem with bloggers, I find, is they're inconsistent. If any of you are bloggers, there's a great blogger for 6 months, and then all of a sudden the person doesn't post for 4 months, so I strike them off my list, because there's no point in going to the site. So I think bloggers, to me, who are just fancy essayists, I think that they're a great tool, but I don't know if they're ever going to, when and if they're going to become these sort of people of record yet. So there's someone here I was ignoring for quite a while, so maybe you could do the last message.
And this is not really a question, but more just a commentary. And I think that you really can't understand policy making in this state without understanding both the white and the African American narrative from Reconstruction forward, because they're two distinct narratives. And one, it seems, to my mind, it colors everything. Right. And if you don't understand it, it's like they're being